Hey, this is Stacia, and I'm going to share a tournament game that I played at the Parma Chess Club in July of 2022. I faced Tony Rucker, um, who had the white pieces. And this is an interesting game, so we're going to have a look here. He opened with e4. I went e5 and d4. So this is called the center game. So I like to take the pawn. And white can take with the queen. This is an actual way you can play. It's kind of weird, but you can play like this. But that is not what he intended. Sometimes he goes c3, which offers up the Danish Gambit. I think it goes something like this. Let's see. Bishop c4. Yeah, and this is the Danish Gambit. It's quite dangerous for black, but objectively fine. But he didn't go for that this game either, although he has done that in the past. Instead, he went knight to f3. So, okay, so I did realize here that, I could probably go knight c6, which is probably what I did. Yeah, and here, bishop c4, and now we're in a Scotch Gambit. So I played knight to f6, which is my normal move. And in the Scotch Gambit, I often see castles, and I often see e5. I would say these are common moves. He played one that I didn't really know. He played knight g5. I was like, oh, okay. Now, I have to admit, I need to be more objective during my games because when he played knight to g5, I was like, oh, Tony Rucker doesn't know any theory, and this move looks silly to me. Maybe it's no good. On the other hand, turns out it is like theory, like older theory. And, the pressure's real on f7, so we've got to navigate this a little bit carefully. So I could play d5 here, which I did not do in the game. I think d5 is probably fine, though. How would it go, though? I am curious, like after takes. I guess we could go... I don't know if I want to play this way. Isn't there knight takes f7 and stuff? Like, maybe there isn't, but... Yeah, this is okay for both sides, I guess, but I don't want to play like that. It's like a cousin of the fried liver attack, So I probably would not want to take with a knight. So after this, we can throw in this check, which appears to be something. Yeah, this seems a little bit annoying, doesn't it? Like, if queen e2, we probably can just take. And if they have to take with the bishop, then we must be doing good after knight takes d5, I would think. Computer also likes knight to b4. Oops, getting the fork in that position, sorry. Okay, anyway, in the game, after knight g5, I actually didn't go d5, but I am curious. It looks like theory says after e takes d5, we play this check and black stands better. There's king f1, and then we go from there. Wow, okay. I actually like knight e5, though, which is what I played in the game. It attacks the bishop, protects f7. It's kind of a pretty move. There is a flaw with knight e5, and that flaw is that, white could go for f4 at some point, kick our knight away, and then take on f7. So we have to be mindful of that. He can't do it immediately, though, because we're on the bishop, right? So he's got to do something about that. So he played bishop b3, which is probably the most testing move. Yeah, and then here I'm like, I'm just going to develop as quick as possible, and I play bishop to b4 check. But I missed something important here. So if you want to pause your video and see what the problem is, go ahead and do so now. Yeah, the problem is that I thought c3 takes knight c3, and I can play h6 or castles, and I'm totally fine. I'm out of the woods here. And that is actually not true. Because in this position, he could take with a pawn. Yeah, and you can see I analyzed this earlier. White has two threats now. They're going to take my bishop, and they're going to play f4 and take on f7. So if I save my bishop, which I probably would, here comes f4, and what to do? What to do? If I just move my knight, here, queen e7. This is not what I would not be happy with this continuation, but it does turn out that the computer has an amazing way to play here, which I'll show very quickly. We're allowing white to take the rook, and then we go d5, and the idea, I think, is to just rapidly develop, use the pin on the e-pawn, and castle queenside as quickly as possible with tempo, which is kind of cool. So d5, they have to save their pawn, and then we take the queen, they move the queen, we castle. You can see that this is black's getting a lot of rapid development, and I'm not sure what white is accomplishing. They're just reacting. Also, it doesn't look like the knight's getting out, so it's really just going to be an exchange. And at least according to the computer, black has full compensation. Kind of crazy. So anyway, in the game, lucky for me, when I took on c3, he did not play b takes c3, attacking the bishop and planning f4. He instead castled. But again, I misunderstood the position. I castled here, which is a mistake. So if you want to pause your video and see how white can get a nice position, go ahead and do so now. Yeah, so once again, this move f4. This move f4 again. The idea this time is if we just retreat. Now, I could try like this move, which I guess is the correct way to play. I don't know if I would do that in a game, though. Not even totally sure what the idea is there. Like, what's the idea with that? Like, what if they just go here? We check. Oh, we're just trying to get in there. Yeah, and that check can make that happen. Yeah, it looks hard to guard. Okay. I'm not sure I would do that in the game. I hope I would. I probably wouldn't in a blitz game. But here, if the knight just retreats, there's e5. And I was thinking, okay, what if we just try to defend? We save our knight. Well, then there's queen h5. And that hits f7. It hits h7. This is just game over. It's just game over. You can't really do stuff like this because... yeah, just knight takes h7 knight takes f7 should do the trick, right? That's a little too much. So, but this move's interesting. Yeah, I didn't really consider that one. So after castles, f4 is the way to go for white. They can get an advantage that way. But instead, he now took with a pawn, but it's not as good now because I can play bishop c5, and white can no longer play f4. The pawn is pinned. So I'm out of danger, but I mean, those two moments in the game are instructive for me because I didn't feel like there was any real danger, but there was twice. So that's pretty eye-opening for me. But at this point, I felt like I might be a little bit better, and that's actually true. Black is better now. He went queen e2. I just played d6. King h1, so he can go f4 if he wants. So now I played h6 finally. I should have did that earlier. Get that knight out of there. Stops all the tricks on f7. Okay, he went knight f3, and now I can pin the knight. So I was very much liking my position here. Computer likes it as well. Bishop f4. Okay, so I thought, hey, I can take on f3. He's going to have to have double f-pawns. And I thought, maybe I'll get an attack going. You know, I've got better development. His knight still has to come out. So I felt taking on f3 would be good, and I took with a knight. Now, the computer gives a really cool move here that I didn't consider. The move knight h5. And the idea here is that if bishop g3, we can take this, g takes, and knight g6. And the idea is to get a knight on f4. I believe that's the idea. So I think that's kind of interesting. There's also, like, if here and they take here, for example, well, that's fine. We take back. And, you know, now this is going to come in and hit the queen. So that was pretty interesting. Also, it likes taking with a bishop better than the knight. Which I don't understand. I guess we're going to keep our knight and try to get it to f4 is my thought. And, okay. But in the game I took with the knight, this is still a good move. It's not like it's bad or anything. And here I played bishop h3, although I did feel like I was kind of helping White a little bit because he wants to play rook g1. And then there's bishop takes h6 becomes a threat. I mean, I calculated this, though. Analyzing with Ralph Tan, National Master Ralph Tan, he said he would play bishop h5 here and just keep the pin and not help White develop with tempo. I mean, he could still go rook g1, though. This is still a threat, but we have ways to deal with that. So yeah, in the game, I did take with a knight and play this, and rook g1 did happen. And I just went king h8 to stop bishop takes h6 using the pinned pawn. So we didn't do that. So he finally got his knight in the game, so his development's pretty much complete. And I played knight to h5. Attack that bishop, and he went bishop e3. Yeah, and here I played bishop b6, which is kind of a waste of a turn. Really, I should have gone queen h4 here. Queen h4 is the way to go. We don't really care about this. This is more insight by Ralph. He said we don't care about this because we get, you know, the dark squares become weaker, and it actually helps black's attack a little bit, just helps black. So I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. So we don't have to play bishop b6. It's kind of just a waste of a move, but that's what I did. f4, queen h4, queen f3. Okay, and I actually have to get going, so I'm just going to quickly show the rest of the game. Rook a to e8, although this is interesting. The computer gave f5 here. I definitely thought about f5. It does look interesting. Like if they take, I like the idea of taking with the bishop. And if we could just get control of this square, you know, say we could play for those kind of threats. That is a theme that comes up later too. But also, you know, if they let us take here, the rook's opening up on those weak pawns and on the queen. I like f5 a lot. Instead, I just brought my rook over. Of course, I was getting a little short on time. Bishop d1, attacking the knight again, so I moved it. Yeah, computer gave an interesting way to win a pawn here. It said we don't have to move the knight. We can just take the bishop. Okay, if you want the knight, that's fine. We'll trade queens. And at the end of that, we get to take f2 and attack the rook, so not so bad. Okay, but I was kind of set on attacking. I kind of have tunnel vision that way sometimes, especially in time pressure. So I just moved my knight away. Rook g3, bishop d7. He was about to take my bishop. And, you know, here I definitely was like, okay, you know, I cannot move my bishop off d7 because I need to maintain control of these squares. If he plays rook h3 or here, I mean, he can't at the moment because the knight, but I think my queen's trapped, right? Am I crazy? I think my queen is trapped. The best, yeah, especially after this one. I don't know what I do there. I'll lose a piece because I can't, oh, I can do this actually. What's wrong with that move? Okay. Oh, I know what's wrong, because if the bishop moves away, I can't do that. I do lose a piece after queen takes, knight takes, and bishop takes. Okay. So anyway, oops, he played rook b1, and then, you know, it's like I spent time going like, okay, don't move your bishop, do anything but just keep that bishop there. And then like out of nowhere, like in 1 second, I played bishop c6 because I was just seeing that I could play rook takes c4 here. But I can't play rook takes c4 if he goes rook h3, which he did play. Yeah, and I was just too low on time. Now, the funny thing is that, yes, my queen is trapped. This is actually winning for black. It's like -3 for black, if you can even believe that. So, and I played the best move in the game, too. I played bishop takes e3. I think this is super tricky. And I do believe did he take with the queen here? I think he may have taken with the queen. He either did that or took my queen. Actually, you know what? I think he did this. Okay. I think he did this. Now we only have one move that's winning. I did take the knight in the game. I don't quite recall what he did here. I think maybe he went queen e2. Wow, this all happened in the game, actually. I think he went here. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah, I actually played, I'm pretty sure that I played this move. I mean, it looks pretty obvious, right? Like this was my whole idea with bishop c6, is to use that diagonal. And if he takes the bishop, we have discoveries. And, I mean, I'm pretty sure he moved his queen somewhere. Where, though? I don't know where she goes, where you don't lose her. But I'm pretty sure that when I played rook takes e4, he just pointed at my clock. And sure enough, I had flagged. So very unfortunate. So, but I also thought I was losing after rook h3. I really thought that I was. But the tactics work out for black. So very interesting, right? So yeah, tough game. Although I was worse when I misplayed with bishop b4 check. And also this move, castles. So those are the two parts of the game that I'm going to learn from. So this is Stacia, and I hope you enjoyed this analysis, and I'll be back with more chess. Okay, bye.